A very pleasant morning and welcome to this yet another episode of Cook Speaks. I'll not bifurcate much here and there, but welcome Varsha Varman with us. You know, she is been an absolutely classical example of education and sports. She is the bronze medal winner in Asia way back in 2014. And then she, of course, got another medal in the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast way back in 2018. Varsha, a hearty welcome to you at Cook Speaks.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an absolute privilege to be here today. I think I've been connected with you for a long time, and you've had an integral part in my success.
My God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Varsha is who's been a junior world champion in shotgun trap shooting. And in fact, we'll show you the medals between the podcast. And when she was just 19, she stood at the podium of the Asia getting the bronze in the women double trap shooting. I think it was along with Shagun Chaudhary and Shreyashi Singh.
Yes.
Yeah. Varsha, at the age of 19, standing at the podium with the national anthem Jana Gana Man playing, how did you feel?
I think that was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. I think that was the first big medal that I had won, and I also created the world record at that event, which was, I think, the first time in Indian sports in shooting that any athlete had done that in that category. And it's still standing to this day, which I think is...
What is the world record?
The world record is in junior double trap, because I was a junior then.
Yeah.
The world record is 89 targets out of 90, which it's still standing. I think for me that was because it has been a while since that happened. So it is an honor whenever I look it up that, oh, my name's still there. And I think for the Indian Federation also, it's still a moment of honor that yes, our name is still there all this time. But I think for me that competition was especially a changing point, because a lot of people, like when we won medals, they got to come back and meet the President of India, the Prime Minister. I had to go back to Harvard and do my exams because I was studying. I've always been trying to do education and sports together, which has its sacrifices. And I think that was one time where I really, as I was writing exams, kind of thinking about my choices very much. But I think it's all, in the long run, has been worth it.
That's great. That means you were in Harvard studying, came for the Asiad, won the bronze, and then medal went. That's great. Varsha, as you just took the topic out yourself regarding education and sports. You know, that is one parameter and subject which is widely discussed in India. You did fantastically well in your 12th exam, you know, scoring somewhere, I think 95 or 96. 97.2%, my God. Topping in the Ajmer segment of the Board of Secondary Education. Then, how did you pursue your education and sports? I mean, to get so lovely marks, you know, and then you went abroad also and you pursued your studies and you continued your shooting. How did you combine that?
I think it was very hard. It was definitely one of the hardest things that I have ever done. But I think I was very dedicated in the sense that I knew, especially being from India, we don't have that much of a sports culture. So for me, it was always that academics has to
What do you mean by we don't have that much of sports culture?
I think in India, you do need a lot of backup in order to pursue sports. And if you want to be doing sports full time, you need a support system which is not established as much in this country, because now I've been living and working abroad for a while. I've seen in the US the kind of support the athletes have, and in India it is coming now, but it is very, very specific. It's only in certain sports, certain segments, and in my time it wasn't as prevalent. So for me, I knew that I needed to have a backup, and I do recommend it for everyone, all students, because sports is fickle. At the end of the day, maybe you'll do well, maybe you won't do well, maybe you'll have an injury. So it's very difficult to just give everything and then at the end be left, if it doesn't work out, be left with nothing. So for me, that was the primary way I pursued it, that I needed to do well in school and then the sports will continue on the side. And I was very lucky, I think, and grateful for that, but I did put a lot of hard work. I was studying in 2012 during my boards. I was studying, also, we had flights to Mexico, the US, participating in World Cup, the London pre-Olympics, 16 hours, 20 hours. I was studying on the flights, I was studying between the competition rounds, I think, and everyone there on the team, because that, again, a lot of people in my sport are from more privileged backgrounds, more political families, and children of Maharajas in India. So for them it is very different, a very different upbringing than mine. But I think it was the first time they also saw someone who was kind of doing shooting and studying, and I think then it has over time become a culture. Now I see a lot of people from maybe not as privileged backgrounds coming into the sport and doing this what I have done. So I think it was very important to break that barrier and carve that path, because up until then there was the thought that a shooter or any athlete can do well in school did not exist. But after I did it, it was kind of that, oh, one can do both. And I think that's how it should
But
be.
I think it's a tough call, Varsha, devoting your time, dual energy into your studies and then into your sporting event. Don't you feel, I think you'll be one of the lucky and the privileged ones who could pass it on, Otherwise, it's very, very tough. Anyway, now coming to the shooting, your hobby or your profession or your passion. You were a junior world champion in the shotgun trap shooting.
Yes.
What exactly is the shotgun trap shooting? I would be knowing that, but a lot of viewers wouldn't be knowing that.
Yeah, so shotgun trap, it's the Olympic trap and Olympic double trap are the events that I compete in.
What's the distance?
It doesn't have a distance per se. So we have clay pigeons. The idea is that you have 15 stations, and at a distance of around 25 meters, the birds will be coming out from under the ground, and they will be going in any direction. And
you have to shoot them.
Yes, you have to shoot them. You get 2 shots, and for each bird there's 125 targets, and there's a final after that depending on who wins the top 6. And they would be going with 1 shot for 50 targets.
Okay.
So it is quite a difficult sport.
So it's basically a moving target?
It is all moving. You're also moving. The target's moving. It's very instinctive. It is very like millisecond. It's very much that you miss the flash, and it is the flash.
Correct.
The naked eye cannot see it. If I'm out of practice, it's even hard for me now to go to a range and see where the target's going. You have to train at that level to master yourself.
Something like Manu Bhaker, what she won 2 Olympics, it was a normal 100-meter fixed target, is it?
Yeah, she did in 10 meter and 25 meter. But Manu Bhaker, because I've competed in the recent Commonwealth Games with her, but I think she's a class apart. But her event is 10 meter air pistol and 25 meter sports pistol, which is a set target. Which is also very difficult because I think it's more of a mental game than even mine, because mine has a bit of a physical aspect, but hers is purely because you are standing stationary, you are very much focused in that, and she is very mentally strong. But it is all under the umbrella shooting. It is just a different event.
Coming to the mind game, you said it's a very mental game. I was reading about one of the participants in shooting in the recently concluded Paris Olympics, where the gentleman didn't have anything and he won the silver medal. What was that?
I think
it was a big hype in the media, What was that?
That was the same event that Manu Bhaker
does,
but a whole different. I think that I actually know that person.
What's his name?
And Turkey wale.
Something,
Because he's been shooting. So my thing is, I've been shooting since a young age, and he's
much older.
So he doesn't. That's the kind of mental strength that person has.
My
and
God.
In shooting, age helps. I think age.
But
helps.
he's an aged fellow also.
No, but that's the level of strength you have.
But he goes without any protective gear, without any sound, that restrictions, and he's shooting bare. Damn tough, Varsha. Is it tough?
I think for him, it is, as he spoke in his interviews, I think he's used to it. But it is tough for people who are used to, like if you see Manu Bhaker, she is wearing that round bull eye equipment, and for her to transition into that will be difficult. For him to transition into what she is doing.
So it's a question of habit, basically.
Yes, and he's been there for a very long. Like when I was young, he was still around. When I'm now, like at this age, he's still around. But I think that man has the kind of mental strength that I aspire to be that, to be someone. And we have someone like that in our event as well, from Australia, like that I grew up seeing. And he was the same. He would, like we have all these equipments, we would be wearing glasses with the side flaps, and this man would just wear Ray-Bans and go and shoot 125 on 125. It's as if a piece of cake. I think those are the real shooters. I think that's how shooting should be.
Very great. That's great. 2014, now we are here in 2025, Varsha, which is about 11 years now, right?
Yes.
And we have 2 medals with you. One is the Commonwealth. Of course, we'll be showing the viewers about it. Another thing which I wanted to ask you, shooting is something, because I've been a sportsman myself and I've been interviewing a lot of sports people. In tennis or in cricket, we have certain gauges to select a member in the Indian team. Do you feel you have been put on the wrong side in the selection time, any time in your career?
I think there have been times, of course, and as an athlete, one feels that they have done their best and still not been selected. But for the most part, it is now a very much a points based. Back in when I was shooting, it was still point based, but as I said, there is a discretion of the federation. Like for example, in the 2012 pre-Olympics, like I went to the pre-Olympics as well. I was the top 2 to go to the Olympics, but another person was sent because she was much older. At that time, I was 17. I
Okay.
think she was.
But what
in
was
her
the criteria
30s.
given by the
So
federation?
the criteria was that even though the points were equal, or I was even more, but because she was older, she had more experience, so that is why she deserved to
I
go.
mean, there's something
But it's
which
very-
we can ask our viewers for their comments. Is that a criteria for selection
I
in the
think-
team? If I am old and I don't get a chance, but I've got less points than Varsha Varman, yet I've been selected for it, I think it's a wrong sort of basically mental thinking about the federation. You must have felt bad about it. It takes you back. You prepare so hard, there is the goal, and then suddenly you find the goal is not there. It does take you back mentally a little bit.
I think to the most part, I do really respect the person who was sent.
That's a
place,
different
but
criteria.
it
It was nice of you to, appreciate that she's so good, Manu Bakar, though she's one of your competitors or whatever it is. But you appreciate that's good. I'm not saying she was bad.
I mean, she did finish last at the Olympics, I will tell you.
Yeah.
So
No,
it
let's
was
not go to the names. Let's not go to that person. Let's go to the selection criteria. Is it wrong or it is
The
right?
selection criteria is very much based on the discretion of the federation. It is very much tweaked to who they want at the end of the day, and that is how it is.
Do you feel any suggestions regarding, because there has been so much of hangama regarding these sports federations, I had an interview with Anil Dupar for tennis, then I had someone, Aslam Sher Khan, who had a big fight with Narendra Batra, who was the president of the Indian Olympic Association. So do you feel any sort of a changes should come regarding the president or the office bearers of these federations?
I think so. I think it should be more transparent. I think right now there is a kind of a caucus. At least I can speak for my federation.
Yeah, of
because
course.
that
Why
is-
not? Why
I
not?
can speak for the National Shooting
I mean, for
Federation.
someone who has done so fantastically well, you don't have to, just hide your
I
fears
mean,
at all. Yeah,
it's
you
not-
should
I
be
mean,
very
at,
open.
at the end, like one person can't do much, but all I can do is say that I think it should be transparent and better interventions
Yeah.
by the government.
Yeah.
That these federations are mostly autonomous bodies, but I think more intervention by the government would make them more accountable, which right now does not exist. So it is very much the people who have been ruling for a very long time, and it's being passed down through the generations, versus I think it should be a transparent and fair method where people not necessarily from those backgrounds are also selected as office bearers and have an equal say in who gets selected, who has a
Any
chance.
particular criteria for a sportsman who has represented Olympics or Asiad or Commonwealth? Like someone in the cricketing fraternity, we have at least, bhai, 10 Ranji to khelo ya 20 Ranji khelo, to aapko hum selection committee mein dalte hain, Something like that you feel should be there in the shooting federation, ki bhai, at least you have represented India in a Asiad or a Commonwealth. Then you know the feelings of a player, you've been a player. You feel something like that should be imposed or proposed by the government?
I think definitely. I think someone who has been an athlete will be better able to understand what an athlete goes through. But also there's people who have gone through different ways to reach at that level. There's someone who has had maybe some child or who has participated or something to that extent. They've been connected with the sport, maybe even at the national level, that they've done it for many years. They've seen the intricacies. But I mean, of course, I do think that having an international medal does it in itself show that you have kind of gone through the rigors of it.
Exactly,
and brings
exactly.
You,
That is what I was
brings
meaning.
You that, yeah, I mean, it is something of a criteria that it should exist, but I also realize there's maybe not a big enough pool for it
maybe,
to select, and maybe there's people in that pool who might not want it to.
Correct.
Because there's like Manu Bhakar also, she's going to shoot for a long time now.
Yeah,
she's not going to be part of it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, but I do think there's certain, I think the current system definitely should change. I think there should be more transparency for sure.
Okay, great, Varsha. That is what I wanted to ask. Acha, tell me one thing regarding the backup by your family as far as the shooting was concerned. Because you rightly said when we started the interview, it's a game not meant for every common man. It's got expenses. So how much your family, the government was supportive to take you to the level where you are?
I think my family has been very, very supportive. I think the largest support has been even letting me do the sport, because like I said, in our country, sport culture does not that much exist, at least in that time. Especially my parents are officers in the government, and for them to have someone maybe digress from fully academics is also difficult. But to let me do that and to support me in that, and it has been difficult. It was very difficult because mine is a very expensive sport. When I was starting out, the academies did not exist as they do in the MP government now. So there had to be a lot of support financially by my family as well in this, in the beginning, and over time I was lucky that the academies developed Mrs. Yashoda Rajesh Sindhya took an initiative.
She has been a very instrumental lady, I think, as far as sporting.
In Madhya Pradesh, yes.
She was helpful to you?
I think she was very helpful for developing the academies over time.
Okay.
And I think that showed over the years. I think in the beginning when I had started, she was also starting.
Okay. So you could
over
get
time-
some sort of a financial aid from the Madhya Pradesh government or any sort of financial aid from them?
I think it is not. There wasn't as much of support because it was very much a new endeavor at that time. It was mostly self-paid, but the government does give money when you win medals. It's very much the system is. I think the one complaint rather would be that support comes on the back end rather than the front end. After once already won, it is kind of. I mean, it is obviously any support is helpful, but I think the support needs to be at the point that it matters most.
Exactly. When you are actually venturing for it, I'll share a small example with you, Varsha, and with the viewers. Very interesting. When Vivek won the first bronze for hockey after 41 years in Tokyo, so I had gone to his village, and we were walking through his street. He had a very small 2-bedroom house. Vivek, his brother, his mother, and father, and 2 sisters. And Vivek won the bronze, and we were walking on a road. So when I was walking with my shoes, I could feel the tapping and the dammer sticking to my sole. So I said, Vivek, ये सड़क कब बनी? कहने सर जब मैं ब्रॉन्ज मेडल जीत के आया तो बन गई. So I'm actually seconding your that कि उसके पहले बेचारा वो नंगे पाँव जाता था. Something like Varsha कि जब वो बेचारी प्रैक्टिस कर रही है, जब तो नोट नहीं मिले, जब ब्रॉन्ज जीत के या मेडल जीत के आ गई तो वो हेल्प आपको सस्टेन हुआ. Of course, she said, father, and I'll try to share one thing which Varsha said. We'll not share on the mic, sir, but I like to positively share because that's again a big fight back for Varsha and her family. Her mother is a cancer survivor, and I think all the Varsha and her father and her brother all are taking a lot of care. How is the mother health now?
I think she's okay now, but I think that's also been an integral part of.
I think it's a very major
journey.
thing. It's a very major
Because
thing.
in my journey, so I was shooting before going abroad. Then in the middle of college, in the middle of Harvard, I took a leave of absence to come back when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and I continued shooting. So the Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games for the second time around were in the middle of my mother's cancer treatment in Delhi.
My God.
Where the purpose for me was to have my family be distracted from the cancer. If I was shooting, we would go to the range, my mother, my father, we would be all focused on the shooting, and the cancer somehow, like it became less of a main part than because our focus. So I'm so grateful to the sport for everything it has done for me. And my mother through this time has been getting stronger, but like cancer is a difficult illness. I would not wish it on anyone.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
has been a difficult time, but I think God's grace, God
Very
has
nice.
always been
And
kind.
maybe the sports and your activity, Varsha, bifurcated her pain into something more beautiful. The daughter winning the medals. Varsha, now I could not finish that question. You are young, you are single, you are good looking, you are beautiful, you are a girl. Any bad time somewhere through this period of training?
In what way?
I mean, we have these reported male unnecessarily attention, or you feeling odd being a girl कि नहीं यार ये तो कुछ गड़बड़ है. You have to fight it alone with dad not there. You abroad, or you're training in Punjab, or you're training in MP. Any such bad experiences for you?
I think there's been some. I think it is always difficult to be a woman, especially in India. That is a true fact. But also abroad, I think anywhere where you are alone, it is difficult.
Is the condition same in India and abroad?
I think it's more so prevalent in India than abroad. I've definitely had
bad
experiences, and also with the team, when we go abroad, there's been male members of the team who have done stuff abroad with other people, and I think that those incidents do exist. I do think that's also something one needs to work on.
Exactly. Therefore, I asked you that, because you've been traveling alone a lot. Your dad has been accompanying you, but har jagah father nahi ja sakta, ya mother nahi ja sakti. How do you fight those incidents which come in your life?
I think it is difficult. I think it helps that I shoot. I think that in itself is a deterrent.
Maybe you can change the target,
I think it is a deterrent, but also I think one thing my parents, my father especially, made sure that I learned martial arts when I was younger.
Okay.
So I think that is something.
So that is something. Okay. So you are an expert in martial arts.
I do.
Very.
No martial arts. I'm a brown belt in karate.
Good.
And I also did boxing.
Good. So you can take care of yourself.
For the most part, but I mean there are incidents that happen where there are more people, more overpowering, but I think I've been lucky enough to not have any serious incidents, but I do think there should be more of a culture in the country to support women.
Great. Precautions to be taken.
I think precautions specifically, I guess, if in my sport, if you're doing it alone.
Any for a girl.
Generally for a woman, I think the most important is to know self-defense. I think it is to be able to protect yourself, and also to not take sorry for my language, but not take anyone's bullshit. I think when such incidents come up, one should report them rather than kind of cowering in front of it just because of, I guess, how the tradition has been. I think the young people are the ones who will bring about a change, and I think it is time to start reporting such incidents no matter who the person is.
Correct.
Which for a long time has not been the case. Like even when I was growing up, where there's incidents with my teammates also, a lot of people would say, no, don't do it because that person is from this family, that boy is from, this is his father. But it very much is, that doesn't matter. A wrong is a wrong, no matter if it's the son of the politician or the son of anyone.
Yeah.
But I think change is happening. I think the youth now is
more awareness is coming now. I think the social media is more active now.
Yes.
But such a good point what Varsha has said, that take care of yourself. Don't hide or don't feel apprehensive in reporting the matter to the concerned authorities. Do that, because I think a man who goes for the first time and the girl keeps quiet, then that thing increases, the intensity increases. So do that. Great. That's a very good suggestion, Varsha. Now from here you go where? To the 2028 Olympics?
Yes. So
tell us something about this last question of mine to you.
So I guess my goal now is the 2028 Olympics, and how it's been that I have been shooting for a while, but I've also been studying. I've also been working in the US, because after I graduated, I've been working there, and it's always been difficult to balance both, like we talked about. But for the first time in my life, I have now a college degree from the world's best university.
Great. Tell us something about that degree of yours.
That degree was very hard. I will say Harvard is the hardest experience.
So you are a graduate from Harvard now?
I'm a graduate.
Okay, and what you've done your graduation in?
I studied economics, psychology and philosophy.
My God.
That and I was the first one from Madhya Pradesh ever to go to Harvard. There's almost only one and two, because I went to Harvard College, which is undergrad.
Okay. Are you the first athlete from Madhya Pradesh also to represent India in Asia? Is it something like that?
Yes, I was the first one. In the
so you are two
Commonwealth
firsts.
Foundation. Yes,
you are two firsts. The first from Madhya Pradesh for Harvard. I think the first athlete from MP to go to Asia. Yeah, okay.
To win a medal, yes.
Yeah.
But I think after that, I think I'm now in a position where I've had a work experience. I've been working in the US for many years, and also because even now I don't think there is as much support. Like we talked about, once you win a medal, there's support in the beginning. So I needed to have this kind of a situation where I can support myself, because my goal is the 2028 Olympics. And
you never tried for any corporate sponsorship, Varsha?
I think it is, again, that is also something that was not around as much when I was shooting, but it is also very specifically focused on people who are well connected.
Okay.
I think it is very difficult for someone who doesn't come from a political background or has the support of federations behind.
Basically influence to the right authorities and to the right persons. Which is sad, which is extremely sad for someone as aspiring as so good as you, and so many athletes like you being deprived of the sponsorship because of lack of connectivity is sad. I mean, it's something which we must improve, or the corporate must think over it, that why not give it to someone more deserving as Varsha Varman. Anyway, so you're now preparing full steam for the 2028 Olympics?
Yes, I think the sporting definitely in India needs to be more of a category where it should be equal, but since I am aware how it is, so I spent the last 10 years to reach this point where I can take the plunge now to try for the 2028 Olympics, and that is my goal. So I've come back to India to shoot full time, to train full time.
Great.
So
you've thrown your hat as far as the team for the Olympics 2028 is there. So I think Varsha, it's been absolutely a pleasure talking to you, and Cook Speaks is grateful that you took out time, and we wish you all the best for 2228 Olympics, and we pray to the Almighty you get a gold, and we again sit back in the studio of Cook Speaks and then again talk about this 2 years experience of yours. Thank you so much, Varsha, and looking forward for your good performance in the London Olympics.
Thank you, sir. It has been a privilege. Thank you so much for having me, and you continue to be an inspiration for me. So thanks.
So this is the medals which we are talking about, Varsha. And Varsha, thank you so much for sharing these medals and coming to our studio with them. There you can see that is the Gold Coast, Australia Commonwealth bronze. And Ashwini now, this is the Asiad which I said asked Varsha when she stood at the podium at the age of 19 with the national anthem playing. That is Incheon, South Korea, bronze. And see the other medals she has got. She has got the Doha gold, then she has got the which one, Varsha, you have others? Can you just name a few?
Yeah, I think I have the Doha Qatar Asian Championship. I have the Beretta Cup. I won a lot of national medals. I was the national champion consecutively for many years.
Yeah.
And if you see, there's also
You
medals
had
from
one,
Finland that I had done. There's many competitions that I participated through the Indian team, and
Yeah.
I think
This is
gives
the
me a
Qatar
lot
one
of-
you have
yes,
got. This
that's
is the
the Qatar
Qatar one,
one. This is the Italian Green Cup.
Yeah,
also
yeah,
that I
yeah.
won the gold in.
Correct, correct.
So this is the Qatar one. There's the Beretta one, which was in Finland.
Okay.
But
Massive. Thank you. That is great collection by Varsha, and hope the viewers enjoy this and take a प्रोत्साहन कहते हैं ना, प्रोत्साहन लें कि हम भी ऐसा कुछ काम करें. Thank you, Varsha. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, sir.
चल.